Welcome to Gemara Academy. In this class, we will learn Tosfos Dibra Maschel, Avalamata Miyud Chayev, the Omer Kluta Kimisha Huncha. Let's begin by looking at the flowchart of the Gemara so we could see what Tosfos is coming to explain. So here in the Gemara, we presented two possible ways of understanding the machlekes between Rabbi Akiva and the Rabbanan. Rabbi Akiva and the Rabbanan argue in a case where a person threw an item from one Rosh Hashanah to another Rosh Hashanah over Rosh Hashanah that was in between. Rabbi Akiva says chayev and the Rabbanan say pater. In the second way of understanding the machlekes, we explained that they're arguing above 10 tefachim. They're arguing whether yalfinan zerk mimayshet or lo yalfinan zerk mimayshet. However, below 10 tefachim, according to this understanding, we're going to say they all agree that if a person threw an item from one Rosh Hashanah to another through the Rosh Hashanah, that he's going to be chayev. Da'amrinan, because we say kluto kemisha huncha damya. If something's contained in the ear of a rishus, it's as if it's resting there, and therefore, since within 10 tefachim it's still a Rosh Hashanah, so when the item was thrown through the Rosh Hashanah and we say kluta, if it's contained kemisha huncha damya, it's if it's resting, he's going to be chayev since he did the malacha veitzah. He took it out of the Rosh Hashanah into the Rosh Hashanah. So that's the part that Tosfos is going to be focusing on. Let's see the general outline of Tosfos. So in the second way of understanding the machlekes between Rabbi Akiva and the Rabbanan, we said that they're going to agree below 10 tefachim that the person is chayev because they both hold that kluta kemisha huncha damya, that if something's contained in the ear of a rishus, it's as if it's resting there. So there's two parts of Tosfos. First, Tosfos is going to point out that although we say kluta, we don't say it across the board everywhere. Tosfos will show us where and prove to us where we don't say kluta kemisha huncha damya. The second part of Tosfos is going to be a question on us establishing that everybody agrees with kluta. Is it possible to say that both Rabbi Akiva and the Rabbanan hold of kluta? So let's see Tosfos now in the flowchart form. So in the second way of understanding the machlekes, we said that it will come out they're only arguing above 10 tefachim. However, below 10 tefachim, everybody will agree that the person's chayev because they both hold that we say amrinan kluta kemisha huncha damya. It says Tosfos, we only say kluta if the item's in the ear or if somebody's holding it and he's standing in the same rishus as his hand is. However, if a person is in one rishus and his hand is extended into a different rishus, then we don't say any more kluta. So it'll come out, we say it if it's in the ear, we say it if it's in a person's hand, and his hand and his body are in one and the same rishus. However, if a person's hand is extended into a different rishus, we don't say kluta. How do we know this? Now Tosfos brings the proof. So the first thing was an arrow, a purple arrow. He's explaining to us, although we mentioned we say kluta, we say it generally, but not if the person's hand extended into another rishus. And the second arrow is a proof to what we just established, and that is, it says in the Mishnah that if the ani, the poor man, extended his hand into the Rosh Hashanah, and the rich man, the Balabayas, put something into it, and the ani took his hand out, we said that the ani is pater because he didn't do the whole malacha. The Balabayas did the akira. The ani took it out of the Rosh Hashanah and put it down into the Rosh Hashanah. Now, if we were to say kluta, then the ani should be chayev because when the Balabayas placed the item into the hand of the ani, we now say kluta. It's as if it's resting in that Rosh Hashanah. Now the ani did akira, and he brought it out and he did a hanacha. So clearly we see we don't always say kluta, and like Mefarshim explained, what's unique over here is that the ani is in one rishus and his hand is in a different rishus. And when the person's in one rishus and the person's hand is in another rishus, we don't say any more kluta. Now we'll move on to the second part of Tosfos, which is a question. Tosfos asks the question, and before he completes the question, he brings some background information. So we're going to have the question, we'll have an arrow pointing up and down, and then we'll have the end of the question. So it says Tosfos is a question by Ri. If there's a brisa anywhere that indicates that there's an opinion that holds that we do need dalad al dalad, and now Tosfos goes off for a moment and says, and it seems that there is such a brisa, because later on the Gemara says that achirim holds that we don't need dalad al dalad, and this implies that that's the opinion of achirim, but there's another opinion that argues and says we do need dalad al dalad. So it says, Ri, if there is an opinion that holds we don't need dalad al dalad, and it seems that there is, then we have a question, and that is, how can we say over here that Rabbi Akiva and the Rabbanan hold that we say kluta? Who's going to be the author of that opinion? Who is the opinion that holds that we do need dalad al dalad? If we were to say that Rabbi Akiva and the Rabbanan argue about it, so we could attribute our Mishnah that says we don't need dalad al dalad to one opinion, and that other brisa, the opinion of another, the one that holds that we do need dalad al dalad, will attribute to the other one. So what Rabbi Akiva will fit with our Mishnah, and the other opinion, the Rabbanan, will fit that we do need dalad al dalad. However, if we're saying that everybody holds that we don't need dalad al dalad, who's going to be the author of that other opinion? And Tosfos concludes that this is not a question at all, because we'd much rather prefer to say that our Mishnah fits with all opinions than to be concerned with that brisa. In other words, we'd rather say that our Mishnah fits with Rabbi Akiva and the Rabbanan, and that brisa is left without an author, than to say our Mishnah fits with Rabbi Akiva and that brisa fits with the Rabbanan. So to summarize, First Tosfos started off by pointing out that although we say kluto, there's an exception to kluto, and that is when the person's body and his hand are in two different reshuyas. Then we don't say regarding the item in his hand, we don't say kluto kamisha chadamya. The second part of Tosfos was a question: how can we attribute the opinion of kluta to all opinions that Rabbi Kiva and the Rabbanan hold of it? Then who's going to be the author of the opinion that holds that we do need dalat al dalat? And Tosfos responds that we'd much rather prefer to say Rabbi Kiva and the Rabbanan say we don't need dalat al dalat, and they both fit with our Mishnah, than to be concerned with another brisa.